Hello, my name is Elise, or Caffeine Misery, and today I'm going to be talking about Youthberk. As of BT-13, Youthberk is officially a Tier 1 deck. And today I'm just going to be going over my build real fast and doing a quick rundown of what the cards do. So first off, I'm using the normal Youthberk guidelines, so the Youthberk starter, a Determined Breakaway Youth, which when it's rolled upon by the grade 2 here, you can Soul Blast 1 to either add a Youthberk from the top 3 cards or call a grade 2 or lower from the top 3 cards to your hand, to the board. And then the other cards go to the bottom of the deck. The grade 2, the important skill is when it's rolled upon by a unit with the Revel Dress ability, you can counterblast 1 to return a grade 2 or greater unit from your drop to your hand. And then lastly is Youthberk Skyfall Arms, which has the Revel Dress ability, which at the end of the battle, it swings. You can ride a Revel form from your hand as stand, and it gets drive -2. And then once per turn, you can discard a card to check the top 3 of your deck, and then either add a Revel form or call a grade 2 or lower, and the rest go to the bottom in any order. For the grade 3s in the main deck, I am running 3 more Persona rides. Some people are cutting this from the full blast list. I personally like the extra 10k and the extra draw for when you do it, but it's either here or there. If you think you're gonna be able to kill them before, if you think you're gonna be able to win the game before you need to Persona ride, you don't need it. For my Revel form lineup, I am running 1 copy of Zest, which when placed by Revel Dress, yes, if you Persona this turn, it gets a critical, and either way it gets plus 15. 2 copies of Gust, which when placed by Revel Dress, if your opponent's Vanguard's grade 3 or greater, you ditch a card to give it 10k and a drive. 2 copies of Tempest, which when placed gives 5k to the front row, and then for a counterblast, you check the top 2 cards of your deck. If your opponent has a unit that equals one of the 2 grades, you can bottom deck one of those units, and then the 2 cards go to hand. And then lastly, your main win condition, Youthberk Revel form Full Blast, which when placed by Revel Dress, counterblasts 1, and does each of the following abilities depending on which of these 3 Revel forms you have in Soul. And then if you have all 3, it gives 15 to the front row. If you have Zest, it gives a critical. If you have Gust, it gains a drive. And if you have Tempest, it bottom decks one of your opponent's units. Yes. And how you enable that is going to be 2 main units. Witch of Extinguishment Fergosa, which when it's placed, if you have Vanguard with Youth in its name, you can Soul Blast 1 and to put a Revel form from deck or drop into the Soul. And then if you have 3 different ones in your Soul, you can Soul Blast a card without Revel form to draw a card. And when your Vanguard is placed by the Revel Dress ability, she gains 5k. Along with that, I'm doing 4 copies of Bard of Brave Instrument Corino, which when discarded or placed on Rearguard Circle from the deck, if you have a Vanguard with Youth in its name, you can add a Revel form from deck or drop to hand, and then place a card from hand into Soul. These 2 are going to be your main ways to get your Revel forms from deck into your Soul. For other rear guards, I am running 4 copies of Witch of Accumulation Sequana, which with a Youthberk Vanguard is a 10k beater. And when a unit is placed by the Revel Dress ability, you can put her Soul to set that unit's drive to 1 for turn. I'm also running 2 copies of Yellow Jewel Beast Topaz, which has the same cost as all the Jewel Beasts of returning 2 cards from the ride deck back to it. From Soul or drop, and on guard gains plus 15 guard. The on rear guard ability for this skill is to check the top 5 cards of your deck and call a unit from them that's grade is less than or equal to your Vanguard. And if it's during the battle phase, it's called a rest. This is going to be one of your ways to enable the Corino. Corino also triggers during discard for Ride and discarding for Youthberk's cost. And lastly come the generics. 3 copies of a Perfect Guard along with the 1 Sanctitude. I'm running 4 of the regular heals. I don't think the effect triggers are going to be that good in this format. If anything, the one that gets an extra 15k, becoming 25k guard for extra crits will be pretty good, but that's, even then, that one could be hit or miss. You still actually need to see it, and if you aren't facing a deck that does that, if you're up against Vivace, that's not going to help. And I'm running 3 copies of Protection Magic Protoby, the effect draw. I'm running 4 Blade Feather or dragons, and you could go either way with running this or the effect or the regular crits. I personally like having access to the extra soul for Fergosa's cost to draw an extra card, but that could be either here or there. And then I'm on 4 copies of Bard of Heavenly Song All Pack, the 20k guard front. This is something you could replace for regular critical triggers if you feel you want to max out on crits instead. And then for my over trigger, I am running Spiritual King of Aquatics, Eidos Faro. Because I like to recur some of the some of the cards I end up losing to discard. I like the extra critical, and I like getting the recursion, like I said, for if the game goes on, if you damage check, or if you drive check it, and you think you aren't gonna live through the turn, you can get back a perfect guard, or it can recur a full blast that ended up getting sent there somehow through like a damage check or something. And I feel like my list here is honestly pretty standard. There's a couple of things that I'm thinking of doing, because as everyone should know, recently announced we are going to be adding 4 extra cards to the main deck, and I'll probably do an update to my list when that happens. But I hope you guys enjoyed this list. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.